Hello and very warm welcome to the Canada News with your host Dibarai. Now let's take a look at the headlines. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh held a virtual press conference with those who are affected by COVID-19 epidemic. Canada's emergency room doctors and nurses are concerned that many of them have not yet received a second dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. Punjab Bhavan has appealed to the entire Punjabi community in Canada that the last date for filling up the forms for the census of 2021 is May 11. Now news in detail. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh held a virtual press conference with those who are affected by the COVID-19 epidemic. Experience of those deceased was shared with them during the conference. They also discussed South Africa's proposal to waive patent protection for the COVID-19 vaccine.
Thank you so much for joining to the media, and thanks so much for joining Kathy, Emily, and Pooja. What we want to do is really hear from people on the front lines, people who have experienced this pandemic in a really personal way, and hear from you. So this is an opportunity to share your stories, and really your stories are reflective of a lot of people, of what a lot of people are feeling, whether they're in a similar field as you or because they're also going through this as a fellow frontline worker or someone who's been really deeply impacted by the pandemic. So thank you so much for being here. It really means a lot. And I want to start off with Kathy. Kathy, I know you've been really vocal about your experience, and you used a really painful experience in your life as a way to try to help other people so they don't end up going through the same thing. Can you share your story, Kathy, of what particularly long-term care and pandemic, what that's meant to you and what you've experienced?
Emergency room doctors and nurses in Canada are concerned that many of them have not yet received a second dose of the COVID vaccine. The second dose of the COVID vaccine was scheduled for February 26, but that appointment was cancelled. He has not yet received a second dose of the vaccine. On March 3rd, the National Advisory Committee on Immunization recommended increasing the interval between the two doses from 3 or 4 weeks to 16 weeks, so that more people can get the first dose of the vaccine and help stop the spread of the virus as soon as possible. The decision was made keeping in mind the availability of the vaccine. Doug McLean is currently in the 11 to 16 week but has not yet received a second dose. Doug McLean is not the only frontline worker who has not received a second dose of the vaccine. The Registered Nurses Association of Ontario, the Canadian Union of Public Employees, the Service Employees International Union, and the Ontario Nurses Association demanded that healthcare groups be given a second dose of the vaccine as a priority.
If you just hit the unmute.
Oh, I think I'm unmuted now. Okay. Thank you for having me. Yes, I'm part of all the experience all Canadians are having, being locked away from family and friends, having your life changed during the pandemic. But I'm also a part of a smaller group of, over 26,000 who have lost someone during the pandemic, and then an even smaller group, although far too large, of people who have lost a loved one in long-term care. So my father passed away April 15th, 2020, under very tragic circumstances. There was neglect and lack of staffing and just a complete failure in the long-term care system. And it's not even enough to say it's a tragedy what's happened in long-term care and how broken our system is. And, I spent a lot of time sort of setting aside my grief to advocate and to try and stop it from happening to other people.
Punjab Bhavan has appealed to the entire Punjabi community in Canada that the last date for filling up the forms for census of 2021 is May 11, so that the maximum number of people can participate in the census. A special message sent to the Punjabi community by Sikhi Bath. Founder of Punjabi Bhavan said that the census from being conducted in Canada were being mailed to every household and reached most of the households. These forms have a code for each family, and you have to go to the census website and fill in the information using this code. It consists of two forms. One is small form, which is very easy to fill, and the other form is a large form, which takes 15 to 20 minutes to fill. Larger forms have some questions about family, religion, language, work, income, and expenses. He said that 5 years ago in the 2016 census, about 6 lakh people had registered their mother tongue Punjabi. As we all know that in the last 5 years, a large number of students and other members of the Punjabi community have come to Canada. Therefore, everyone should participate in this census and fulfill their duty towards Punjabi, as it is on the basis of the census that the government draws up plans and other programs for the development of a language, he said. It is the responsibility of each and every one of us to motivate our friends, relatives and attendants for this course. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, Chief of Staff, has offered to testify in a House of Commons committee investigating allegations of sexual harassment against a former top Canadian military commander. Katie Telford wrote a letter to members of Defence Committee offering to testify at their meeting on Friday. Katie Telford has been questioned by the Conservative MPG.
The witness, so you personally let his signature go on those documents while knowing the CDS had open allegations against him?
To be clear, Madam Chair, sorry, there was an
yes or no is cool.
Well, I just want to remind you what we did and didn't know at that time.
You've made that statement several times. I just want to know, you personally let him make his signature on that at-risk pay approval without him knowing, and you knew he didn't know. That was your decision not to tell him before he signed?
I want to remind you about what we did and didn't know at the time, which is we didn't know anything about this complaint. We didn't know the substance, the nature, or the details of the complaint.
But the Prime Minister was never told of any serious allegation about General Vance. So who made that decision?
I want to remind you that while I took the information extremely seriously that the Minister, through his office, brought to my office, and that we then passed to the Privy Council office who took carriage of it, we actually didn't know the seriousness or the nature of
the Prime Minister was deliberating on the succession plan for the CDS and was not told of the allegations against him. Who made that decision?
The performance management program is actually quite expansive and consults quite a number of people. It's a program that's in place for all senior officials across the public service, including deputy ministers and associates.
So we know that, Madam Telford, thank you. But while considering approving a pay raise for General Vance, the Prime Minister was never told of serious allegations against him. Who made the decision not to tell the Prime Minister?
Madam Chair, through you, I would just remind us of what we knew, which was we didn't know anything about the allegation at the time.
You knew there was an allegation, Madam Chair.
Point of order. Point of order, Madam Chair. Point of order.
Madame Gallant, please allow the witness to finish what she's saying first.
Just a yes or no is
your next.
No.
Madame Gallant.
Point of order, Madam Chair. Point of order.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Baker.
Madame Gallant, like her colleague previously, is not allowing the witness to answer questions. Ms. Telford has information, I believe is attempting to answer the question. I would like to hear the answer. I think the folks at home would like to hear the answer. And so I would ask that you ask Madame Gallant to allow Ms. Telford to finish her answers before asking her next question.
Ms. Telford, if you'd like to finish your answer, please.
I just think it's two things. It's important to remember that there wasn't an allegation in terms of any content around an allegation to speak of. There was a complaint that the ombudsperson raised with Minister Sajan that he was not able to do anything with, and that we were not able to do anything with. The Privy Council office wasn't able to do anything with. And it's the Privy Council office who puts together the performance management program.
Okay, thank you. So it was the Privy Council office who decided then not to let the Prime Minister know. Because my only question is, who made that decision? So the answer is the name of a person.
No, the answer is that there wasn't an allegation in terms of something for which there was that we didn't know the nature of the allegation or the content.
Point of order, Madam Chair.
There was an allegation.
Point of order.
Madame Gallant.
Madam Chair, point of order.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Spengeman.
Madam Chair, there's an additional consideration to the point that was raised repeatedly by my colleague, Mr. Baker, which is that it's impossible for interpretation to follow when a member is talking over top of a witness.
Manitoba will shut its schools into hard-hit regions and move students to online learning, official announced, as several other provinces also tighten public health measures to limit the spread of COVID-19. While the overall number of new cases in Canada has been declining since mid-April, COVID-19 infection rates remain stubbornly high in the parts of Canada. Manitoba Education Minister Cliff Killen and Chief Public Health Officer Dr. Brent Rusin said kindergarten to grade 12 classes in Winnipeg and Baden would moving online from Wednesday until at last 30th. Manitoba also banned in-person restaurant dining, closed churches and some businesses, and dropped capacity at retail stores to 10% as of Sunday, as the province reported more than 500 cases of COVID-19. The latest number of confirmed COVID-19 cases in Canada, there are 1,286,666 confirmed cases in Canada. The total case count includes 13 confirmed cases among repatriated travelers. There were 6,698 new cases. The rate of active cases is 212.57%, 1 lakh people. Over the past 7 days, there have been a total of 50,970 new cases. The 7-day rolling average of new cases is 7,281. There were 58 new reported deaths Sunday. Over the past 7 days, there have been a total of 326 new reported deaths. The 7-day rolling average of a new reported death is 47. The 7-day rolling of average, the death rate is 0.12 per 1 lakh people. The overall death rate is 64.8%, 1 lakh people. The vast majority of Albertans will become eligible to book and receive a COVID vaccine. The widespread expansion comes as Alberta enters another round of strict public health restrictions in a bid of stem a menacing third wave of the novel coronavirus transmission. And as the province reports more than 1,600 new cases of the virus, all Albertans born in 2009 and earlier will be able to book their shots either through online booking, HealthLink or local pharmacies. All Albertans born between 2004 and 2009 will receive the Pfizer vaccine after Health Canada approved the shot for use in teenagers last week. Those born in 2003 or earlier will get a shot of either Pfizer or Moderna, the only two approved vaccines with supply currently available in Alberta. The number of COVID cases being treated in an Edmonton zone intensive care unit spiked to 67, an increase of 10 within the last 24 hours, accounting to the largest single-day increase since the start of the pandemic. The steep increase comes as Alberta's Chief Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Dina Hinshaw, reported 1,633 new cases of the virus on Sunday for a new record of active cases count of 25,197 across the province. The positivity rate was 10.3%, a slight drop for there are now 155 people being treated in intensive care for the virus in Alberta. As 7 new cases were added within the last 24 hours, the 2 people have died from the virus within the last 24 hours, amounting to 2,110 deaths since the start of the pandemic. A 19-year-old boy hailing from Battal village in Barnala district was allegedly shot dead by his uncle in Edmonton, the capital city of the Canadian province of Alberta. Harmanjot Singh Battal, the only son of his parents, had gone to Canada in December 2018 on a study visa. His father Avtar Singh said the incident took place during a domestic quarrel between the Harmanjot's maternal aunt and her husband. When Harmanjot intervened, his uncle Gamdoor Singh opened fire, killing him on the spot. While his aunt Satveer Kaur was rushed to a hospital, Gamdoor has been arrested. Premiers of Canadian provinces, mayors of cities and other leaders from across the country will join over 80 Indo-Canadian organizations for a major oxygen fundraiser for procuring and sending critical equipment required in India to combat the raging COVID-19 crisis there. The virtual fundraiser will be held on May 16, and among those who have confirmed their participation are the premiers of the provinces of Ontario and Saskatchewan, Doug Ford and Scott Moe, respectively. Also on board are the mayors of Brampton and Mississauga, Patrick Brown and Bonnie Crombie. The event is being coordinated by the Indo-Canadian Chamber of Commerce or ICC, and it has partnered with 82 other community organizations for the Marathon Oxygen for India fundraiser, which is scheduled to go on for 1.5 hours. So that's all we have in this edition. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more updated news.